Today we are going to go over how to write a resume and hopefully offer you some tips on how to perfect your resume and get the application process started. Most people should be having a resume by now. And if you don't have a resume, it is okay, but you should at least be thinking about starting your resume. It is going to be very important for your career post-graduation and for your career in general going on throughout life. When thinking about writing a resume, many people choose to write this document first so that they can use it to build their cover letter. Now, I'll be going over cover letters in a little bit more detail in another video, but for now, I will say it is more of an opportunity and introduction to you and who you are. It's an opportunity for you to bring out your personality and for the reader to get to know you a little bit better. Whereas a resume, you can think of as a list of facts. There's no need to be impressive or humble. You're simply stating what you have accomplished and when you have accomplished it. So where do you start? Here in Career Services, we recommend skipping the Microsoft or Canva templates. While they are extremely eye-catching, they're oftentimes not following best practices. For example, the templates depicted on this slide are from Microsoft. Nearly every example includes a headshot or personal photo. Nearly every example includes columns, and both are a no-go from an applicant tracking system or ATS standpoint. And we recommend not including either of these to protect you from bias. Instead, we recommend going to our website and obtaining a template that we have created, where you can find on the Career Services website under the resource library. We also recommend looking at Career Coach, which is a career exploration tool that you can find on our homepage. And if you're looking for a military or federal job, we strongly recommend looking at USA Jobs. And this is where I really start writing my resume. And it starts before you even begin writing. We strongly recommend that you read the job description so you gain a firm understanding of the requirements, essential duties, and skills. And really read between the lines when you are going through this section. What do they need? What are they expecting from this position in terms of experience and personality and traits? Research the company. What is their mission? What are their values? Have they had any news stories come out? Are they making the news for good reasons? These are all things that can help inform how you write your resume and really gain a firm understanding of those job requirements. And if the job duties are still unclear after you have done a little bit of research, we strongly recommend following up with a phone call to the hiring manager and asking for a little bit more clarity and detail. So how do you prepare to write your resume, or at the beginning of writing your resume? Like I mentioned before, you start by reading the job description. And something I like to do while I'm highlighting the job description and noting related and transferable skills, and anything else that you think might be relevant to this position, is I make a note next to each essential duty, next to each skill, for something that I have done that will relate to that specific sentence. It might not seem like a lot, but it can really help out if you are in an interview setting and you get asked about a specific essential duty and you have already made a little bit of a note on there so you know what to talk about. It is better to go through that process having a story ready, whether it's from the classroom in a project that you have completed and presented upon, whether it's volunteer experience, or whether it is from something that you have done in a past job. It is better to have that story ready than to sit there and flounder in that interview setting. Next, you should just start writing. Start by filling in the resume template with all of your information, and really it's important to just free write and not worry about any errors. Just start putting pen to paper or start typing things out on a document. It is better to get these things out of your head and onto a piece of paper than to just leave them in your brain and forget about them a little bit later on. We've all had those moments where we are getting out of our car and we're thinking, I need to remember to go do this thing. And then a couple of seconds or minutes later, you completely forget about what you were going to do, but you do remember that you had a thought that you needed to do something. And the entire goal is to avoid that so you can constantly go back to this piece of paper and access the thoughts that you want to make note of. And here are a couple of templates. I'm going to be going over two different things on this slide. Firstly, I want to run through each section of a resume. So you have your summary of qualifications, which is a great optional section used to highlight your skills, qualifications, etc. But it isn't always necessary. It's really good for two reasons. One, if you have extensive work experience in a field that is not related to the field you are looking to go into, or two, if you don't have a whole lot of experience and you're coming directly out of college and you want to beef up your resume a little bit, this is a good place to have 2 to 3 sentences about your skills and about your qualifications that can help you out. Next, you want to include your education. You want your degree, your major, where your college and university, where it's located, and the date that you will be graduating. You just want to put the month and year. You don't need to put anticipated or expected, and you also do not need to include your high school graduation date. Related coursework experience is a really good section if you don't have a whole lot of work experience, but you want to start building your resume about relevant information or topics that got you into the field that you are looking to go into, or to show that you have an interest in the field and that you aren't just applying to any job. It gives you a tangible. Most courses are going to require you to complete a project, a paper, a presentation of some sort, and that is where you can show where you began with the course and where you ended. That course project or paper or presentation is going to be that tangible that you can talk about in an interview setting. Your work experience is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to keep this to the last 3-ish jobs or the last 5-ish years, and really we want to stick on the most relevant work experience you have to the position you are applying to. Community involvement or extracurricular activities or volunteering is a good section to include if you do not have a whole lot of work experience either. This is it's not always necessary as an optional setting or an optional section, but it is a good place to showcase some of your skills. And lastly, is the skills section. Again, it is not always necessary, but it is helpful to include, especially if there are things like QuickBooks or something that is going to really set you apart from another applicant. Next, I want to go over some of the things that I like and dislike about the template on the left. The template on the right is our template that we have created in career services, and the one on the left is another template that we have found that is not the best, but it isn't the worst. The one on the left isn't easily ATS accessible. It has a few columns in there. The skills are at the top. We recommend putting the skills at the bottom if you are going to put the skills at the bottom or on your resume. The awards and accomplishments, I'm not a huge fan of. And if there is something in there that took a semester or more to earn, then it is best to put that under the education section. The bullet points aren't lined up. It looks a little less clean than the one on the right. And excuse me, overall it is less skimmable and there's less reading room on the page. Some important things not to include are your personal details. Nobody needs to know your address, your date of birth, country of origin, or your place of birth. If they do need to know that, they can get that information from you after a job offer has been given. Please don't include profile pictures, photos, or graphics. Unprofessional email addresses are a great way to get your application or resume thrown out. And please avoid using I language in personal pronouns. You can use I language in your cover letter, but in your resume, as I stated earlier, we like to think of this as a list of facts. And before you submit your application or your resume to anybody, go through and revise it. Go through, remove I language, revise for a business professional tone, make sure your formatting, tone, and tenses are all consistent. If you are no longer in a position, make sure it is in past tense. You no longer manage data inventory, you managed data inventory. Review your work again, and then triple check it. And if you want to make sure it is the best possible resume that you can submit, ask a friend, a professor, or career services to complete a formal review before you apply for the job. And if you have checked out during this video and if you made it this far, the top 2 tips I can recommend is your resume should be specifically tailored to the job you are applying for, and you can do that by mimicking the language used in the job description and on the company website. Those are 2 very important things that will help your resume stand out. And for more information, you can watch the other videos in the playlist, learn more about the application process.